The morning sun filtered through the high, arched windows of the courtroom, casting long, golden streaks across the polished mahogany benches. There was a particular scent to the room, a mixture of old paper, floor wax, and electric tension of lives waiting to be untangled. This was the Hall of Judy Justice, a place where the messy reality of human relationships met the cold, hard clarity of the law. On this day, the air felt thick with the history of three people who were bound together by more than just a legal dispute. They were bound by children, by past loves, and by a piece of machinery that had become a symbol of their collective frustration, a 2016 Jeep Renegade. Kendall Ruiz stood at the plaintiff's table, her posture rigid but her eyes weary. Beside her stood Isaac Thompson, a man who looked caught between two worlds, his gaze often drifting as if trying to find an exit from the complicated web he had woven. Across from them stood Donna Schultz, the ghost of Isaac's past, looking every bit as offensive as one might expect from a woman being sued by her former partner and his current girlfriend. The bailiff, a man of imposing presence and a voice like rolling thunder, called the room to order. All rise, he commanded, and the rustle of fabric followed as everyone stood in unison. Judge Judy entered the room with a brisk, no-nonsense stride, her black robe billowing slightly behind her. She took her seat behind the elevated bench, her eyes immediately scanning the documents before her, looking for the truth hidden between the lines of legal jargon. Case number 3025, Ruiz and Thompson versus Schultz, the bailiff announced. Judge Judy looked up, her piercing gaze landing first on Kendall. Ms. Ruiz, she began, her voice crisp and authoritative. This is your boyfriend. Correct. Kendall nodded, her voice steady as she confirmed the relationship. The judge delved into the history, unearthing the layers of their life together. They had been together on and off for about 2.5 years, a span of time that included the birth of a child who had recently turned 1 in January. They lived together, creating a home amidst the fluctuations of their romance. But the past was never far behind. Isaac Thompson was then called to account for his history with the defendant. 3.5 years ago, he had been with Donna Schultz. They, too, shared a life and a child, a young boy who will be turning 4 in August. Isaac saw his older son every week or every other week, an arrangement he claimed was going okay. The judge, ever vigilant for precision, corrected his casual yep to a formal yes, setting the tone for the serious business at hand. The heart of the matter was the car. In April of 2021, while Isaac and Kendall were a committed pair, they purchased a 2016 Jeep Renegade. The vehicle was a shared investment, with both their names etched onto the title. However, by December that same year, a fracture had formed in their relationship. They broke up, and Isaac moved back to his parents' house, taking the Jeep with him. Kendall, demonstrating her own independence, had secured a new vehicle for herself. It was agreed that Isaac would keep the Jeep and, crucially, maintain the monthly payments of $367. But Isaac soon found himself drowning in financial obligations. He could not afford the vehicle, yet he knew Donna was in desperate need of a way to transport their son. In a move that was perhaps born of a kind heart but a confused mind, he offered Donna a deal. He told her she could use the car if she made the payments and kept it insured. He even harbored the naive hope that she could eventually put the vehicle in her own name. Judge Judy quickly dismantled this fantasy. She reminded the court that as long as the loan existed, the bank held the lien. To the loan company, Donna was a nobody. Isaac and Kendall were the ones on the hook, and the bank would never simply let them off. Despite the legal impossibility of the plan, Donna took possession of the Jeep. For a brief moment, it seemed to work. She made the payments for January and February of 2020 high, though they were late. By March, however, the financial flow stopped. Isaac, who had moved back in with Kendall in January, began to feel the sting of Donna's failure. His credit was being affected by the late payments, and the friction between his past and his present began to heat up. Judge Judy, a seasoned observer of human nature, pointed out the obvious psychological tension. She looked at Isaac and told him that he did not have to be a genius or a soothsayer to realize that Kendall did not like the fact that his old girlfriend was driving a car that had Kendall's name on the title. Kendall, a 24-hour caregiver for their son who had a disability, insisted she only wanted the best for all the children involved, But the legal reality was inescapable. If Donna crashed the car, the liability would fall on the owners, Isaac and Kendall. The situation reached a breaking point in April. Isaac demanded the car back, not just because of the payments, but because he discovered Donna had no insurance. When questioned, Donna looked at the sky, a telltale sign of avoidance that the judge did not miss. "Look right here," the judge commanded. Donna admitted that her insurance had lapsed while she was looking for a new company. This was a critical breach of the agreement. Without insurance, Isaac had every right to reclaim the vehicle to protect himself and Kendall from potential ruin. The climax of this domestic drama occurred on May 3rd, 2020 high. Donna was involved in an accident. She told the police it happened that day, but the reporting officer noted her deceptiveness. She had struck another woman's vehicle. The front end of the Jeep was damaged, but the problems went deeper than the bumper. The transmission was compromised and the oil system was failing. The car, once a proud symbol of mobility, was now an inoperable hunk of metal sitting in Isaac's parents' driveway. Isaac admitted to another grave mistake. He had dropped his own insurance on the car, relying entirely on Donna's word. The judge's voice took on a tone of stern education. "You signed an agreement with a bank to keep this vehicle insured because it really belonged to them until it was paid off," she told him. By failing to do so, he had breached his contract with the lender. The repair estimate stood at $6,000. Isaac felt he should be responsible for none of it, but the law saw things differently. Donna had used the car and broken it while failing to keep her end of the bargain regarding insurance and timely payments. Isaac, however, had been negligent in allowing a third party to take over a responsibility that was legally his. Judge Judy reached her decision with the swiftness of a falling gavel. She awarded a judgment of $3,000 to the plaintiffs. It was a middle ground that acknowledged Donna's role in the damage while holding Isaac accountable for his lack of oversight. The hearing ended, leaving the parties to deal with the fallout of their choices. As they exited the courtroom, the reality of the situation began to sink in. Donna felt the weight of the judgment, believing she should have paid nothing. Isaac and Kendall felt the frustration of a year spent paying for a car they could not drive. But beyond the money, there was a profound lesson in responsibility. The judge's final words echoed in the hallway. You cannot simply hand off a contractual obligation to a friend or an ex and expect the world to go along with it. The story of the Jeep Renegade was a story of many things. It was a story of a young couple trying to navigate the complexities of a blended family. It was a story of a man trying to be helpful but failing to be wise. Most of all, it was a story about the importance of the law and maintaining order in the chaotic theater of human emotions. As the sun climbed higher, the three of them went their separate ways, each carrying a piece of the truth, and perhaps a new understanding of what it means to truly be responsible for the things we own and the promises we make. The court stood adjourned, but the lessons of Case 3025 would linger long after mahogany benches had been cleared for the next day of justice. In the grand tapestry of life, small decisions often weave the most complicated patterns. A car is rarely just a car. It is a vehicle for our ambitions, our chores, and sometimes our most difficult lessons. For Kendall, Isaac, and Donna, the Jeep was a hard teacher. They learned that honesty is not just about the word we say, but about the contracts we sign and the diligence we keep. They learned that helping someone else should never come at the cost of one's own integrity or legal safety. And as they moved forward into the year 2026 and beyond, the memory of that courtroom and the sharp, fair voice of Judge Judy would serve as a reminder to always read the fine print of life with both eyes open. The resolution was not perfect for any of them, but justice is rarely about perfection. It is about balance. It is about making sure that when the dust settles, everyone has a clearer view of the road ahead. Isaac will continue his payments. Kendall would continue her caregiving, and Donna would find a new way to move forward. The Jeep Renegade might never roar to life again, but the lives connected to it have been given a chance to restart on a firmer foundation of truth and accountability. This was the value of the Hall of Justice. It was not just a place for endings, but a place for new, more informed beginnings. The story concluded not with a bang, but with the quiet realization that growing up often means accepting the consequences of our well-intentioned mistakes. As the hallway emptied, the echoes of their footsteps faded, leaving only the silence of the courtroom to hold the weight of the day's work. Justice had been served, and in its wake, a small corner of the world was just a little bit more in order. The human heart is a complex engine, often more difficult to repair than a broken transmission, but on this day, under the watchful eye of the law, a few gears had been set right. It was a simple, profound victory for common sense and the enduring power of responsibility. Everyone left a little bit lighter, even if their wallets were a little bit thinner. For the truth is a wealth that no judgment can ever diminish. And so, the world kept turning 1 mile at a time toward a future where perhaps, next time, they would all choose to drive a little more carefully, in every sense of the word.